Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Tyrus Bain. Welcome to the definition of anarchy. Today on May 28, 2021, I want to talk about the conservatives twins, the Hodge twins, their take on the Ronald Greene situation. If you guys aren't familiar with Ronald Greene, a couple years ago in Louisiana, he had run a red light or something. They say he had tested positive for cocaine and or was it cocaine? Something in alcohol. He was drunk, so he ran a red light, and the police chased him down. All right, they chased him down. He hit a tree, and after that happened, he's disoriented, all this other stuff, and they go up to his car, and they tell him to get out of the car, get the fuck out of the car, get out of it, and all this other shit. And before he could even react to that command, they start tasing him. Okay, they start tasing him. And after that point, they pull him out of the car, they got him on the ground, they're doing all kinds of things, right? And eventually he ended up dying, right? He died on the way to the hospital. And there's a lot of things that the Hodge twins pointed out in this video that I didn't even realize was going on when I watched the video myself. I really didn't pay too much attention to it. I just, I watched it, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't go too in depth into looking into it. But especially when Brandon Tatum, when he went into the video, he didn't point out a lot of the things that the Hodge twins pointed out. He skipped over a lot of shit. He overlooked a lot of things. And, they have night and day different takes on the situation. Brandon Tatum thinks that the officers did everything right. All right. The Hodge twins feel like they should have de-escalated the situation. They feel like they went too hard. They feel like that the cops were excessive at that point. You know what I'm saying? And they're absolutely right. They went way too far, judging on a second look at it that I had. Now, let's go through it. What did they do wrong, right? Forget about them chasing them in the first place. He ran a red light. You know what I'm saying? He was drunk. He was driving reckless after they started chasing him. Boom. Shit happened. He hit the fucking tree. What did they do wrong? If you're going to tell somebody, first of all, let's talk about before they even give them an opportunity to get out of the car. They're cussing at him, they're screaming at him, they're yelling at him, they're calling him names. They're very aggressive toward this dude, right? And so, what do you expect, right? Do you think that if 3 or 4 guys with guns and a bulletproof vest ran up on your vehicle and told you to get the F out, do you think that you would just be like, okay? Does it matter if they're cops? No, it doesn't. What you see are grown-ass men hollering and screaming at you with guns, telling you to get out of your car. So, and before you can give them an opportunity, you start tasing them a bunch of times. How you gonna get out the car if you're being tased? When you get tased, your body locks up. Your body locks up. There's not a lot that you can do. So how would you expect him to get out of the car if you're tasing the shit out of him? I'm gonna tell you what I think happened. I don't think that they wanted him to get out of the car. I think they didn't want him to comply. I think they didn't give a hot damn, right? They were upset because he made them work. Let me tell y'all something, man. Cops do not want you to make them work. They don't want to do paperwork. They don't want to have to chase you down, right? They don't want to have to do all this, that, and the third. But when they feel like you presented them no choice, they get very upset. They get upset. They get angry. They get out of pocket. And never mind their training, right? Never mind their training. So what do? You pull him out of the car, right? And you're trying to get the arms behind his back. Now, let me tell y'all something, man. Let me tell y'all, shout out to the Hodge twins for their attention to detail on this shit. Right? Shout out to them for their attention to detail. They pull him out, they get him out of the car, have him on his stomach, and they're telling him to put his arms behind his back. Right? Tell him to put his arms behind his back, but at the same time, they're tasing him and got him in a chokehold. They're on top of him. One cop's on top of him. The other cop is tasing him, and they're telling him to put his hands behind his back. But you got pressure all up and down, all up on his fucking chest. Right? Now this is the thing. Apparently he had a cracked breastplate. His breastplate was cracked, which caused internal bleeding, right? Not really sure if that's how he exactly died, but he had a cracked chest plate, broken chest plate, internal bleeding, all this, that, and the third. But how are you going to pull your hand? How are you going to expect somebody to put their hands behind their back while you're tasing them, and another guy got you in a chokehold on top of you? How do you expect somebody to comply when you're doing your level best to move their bodies, to do it? See, they had to do. At some point, they're like, oh, okay, well, let's stop tasing them. What happened after you stopped tasing them? Can somebody guess what happened after they stopped tasing him? They were able to cuff this dude. But they didn't just cuff him, they shackled his feet. Right? They shackled his feet and they drug him around. Now, here's another key point that they pointed out. There is, at some point, the audio is cut off. At some point, the audio for the bike. And not only that, there's a gap. There's a gap in time. There's a missing video that occurs before the ambulance shows up. Because apparently in the report, it was said that they were, they had him restrained and detained until he went limp. But in the video, he's not limp. He's breathing. You know what I'm saying? He's moving around a little bit. So what happened? Why don't we see him being limp? What's going on with that? Let me tell y'all something, man. The same type of thing happened to a young man, a young black man that was walking down the street. I forgot his name. He was minding his own business. He had on a hoodie, but it was cold. So they harassing this dude. He's walking down the street. I think he's like 19 years old. 19-year-old kid walking down the street. Gets harassed by the police. Gets hemmed up. And he ends up dying. Right? Gets hemmed up, ends up dying. No, not Trayvon. Trayvon Martin was killed by George Zimmerman. No, by that little punk. No, I forgot it. I forgot his name. I'll come up with it. But this dude is walking down the street. Walking down the street, wearing a hoodie, minding his own fucking business. Cops come up to him, fuck with him, ask him what he's doing, do all this, that, and the third, hem him up, got him on the ground, and he's dying, and he ends up dying. And people like Brandon Tatum, who covered this, tells you, oh, well, it wasn't we don't know if it was the cops. Okay, let's talk about that. If it wasn't the cops, then what was it? What caused his death if it wasn't the cops? This is the thing, man. Ronald Greene, he did some silly shit. All right, he did some silly shit, drinking and driving. I think it's one of the dumbest things you could ever do. It's very dangerous. You can kill people drinking and driving. All right, and 9 times out of 10, drunk drivers, when they get in accidents and they kill somebody, they usually live through it. Right? They're usually the ones that live. They survive. But the people they hit die. So it's very dangerous and irresponsible to drink and drive, right? All right, he did his irresponsible shit. Thankfully, he didn't kill anybody. But as police officers, right? As police officers, you would expect that a police officer would be trained to have some level of decorum and level-headedness when they're encountering people. You know what I'm saying? Yes, they're human. They're human, but with the proper amount of training, they can do the right thing, right? They were out of pocket. They went too far, and he ended up dying. Is he responsible partly for that encounter with the police? Yes, he is. But just because, then this is the thing with these people, man. If you do one wrong thing in your past, or if you do one wrong thing right before your encounter with the police, if you die, it is what it is, right? What does that do? That shirks responsibility for the police officers. They're not held accountable because you forced them to interact with you. Doing whatever you did. Jaywalking, speeding a little bit, rolling through a stop sign, running a red light. Right? So at that point, and it's just like that lieutenant, right? That Army lieutenant that got pulled over. He didn't want to get pulled over in a dark ass road. So he went up a quarter of a mile to a gas station. And what does this pig do? He gets out, starts hollering and screaming, did a felony stop on this dude because he didn't want to pull over in a dark motherfucking street. So they do a felony stop, get out with their guns drawn, and start screaming and cussing at this dude, tase him, all this other shit. Because he didn't want to get out the car right away. Understand this. He was afraid for his life. I want to look at the thing here. I want to look at the comparison. He was afraid for his life, just like Ronald Greene was. Ronald Greene was afraid for his life. He didn't want to get out the car immediately because he felt like these motherfuckers might end up killing me. The Army lieutenant didn't want to get out the car. He was afraid, thought he might end up dead. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. And people expect, oh, you should just comply. Just do what you're told and handle it in court. Well, you might not make it to court because people that comply die too. Right? So let's get on with this. If you're afraid, right? Now, I want y'all to think about the expectations that they have over the citizens compared to the police officers. Citizens who aren't trained, we aren't trained to deal with the police. We're not. And we shouldn't have to be. It's not our job to make the police feel good when they pull us over, to make them feel special, to make them feel like they're above us. That's not our fucking job. I don't get paid to do that. So let's talk about it. What do they expect you to do when you're afraid? When you encounter the police? What do these motherfuckers expect you to do? People like Brandon Tatum, ABL, all these other people. And I stay on them because they're just stuck in this. They refuse to be logical about this. They refuse to be objective. What do they expect you to do when you're afraid? When you encounter the police? They expect you to melt. They expect you to melt down into a compliant little puppy. They want you to turn into a little bunny rabbit, right? They want you to turn into a bearded dragon. My wife just got a bearded dragon. Them things are so docile, right? You can do anything to a bearded dragon. Well, not anything, because my daughter almost ran over the goddamn thing with the rolling chair, and that motherfucker scattered. But anyway, that's beside the point. They want you to be docile, compliant little pussy lips, right? Right? That's what they want. They don't want you to give them no lip. They don't want you to say nothing. They don't want you to move your head a certain way. They don't want you to move your arm a certain way. If you're afraid of the police, come on. You're in fear for your life. Well, if you're in fear for your life, you should just comply. Right? That's the talking point, right? That's what these clown shoes say. These clown shoes, they want you to be submissive little punks when you encounter the police. Hold on, y'all. What do they expect you to do? As a matter of fact, let's think about this. In certain states like California, right, where you don't have a right to keep and bear arms, where you don't have a right to defend yourself, right? In states like that, when you're afraid, let's say a criminal's coming at you, don't nobody get no more leeway than cops and criminals, right? So anyway, let's look at this. What do they expect you to do? They want you to comply. They want you to give up. They want you to submit. They want you to say, "Oh yes, sir. Oh, you got it, sir. I'll give you here's my wallet. Take everything I got." They don't expect you to pull out. They don't expect you to meet aggression with aggression, right? They don't expect you to do any of that. So when you're afraid, you have to be a little bitch. You have to cower. You can't put up any resistance, because if you do, you deserve whatever you got coming to you, right? You deserve to die. That's what they say. But what happens? What do they expect cops to do when they fear for their life? Can anybody tell me that? What do they expect cops to do? What's up, Shaw Killings? James Millich. Elijah McClain, exactly, James Millich. Elijah McClain. New York and New Jersey has even worse gun laws. Yeah, I know. But what do they expect cops to do? What are cops expected to do when they fear for their life? Can anybody tell me? I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They expect that cop to shoot the shit out of the motherfucker that they're afraid of. Yes. When a cop fears for their life, they're expected to kill that perceived threat. Trained police officers who are supposed to be able to discern, to address a situation in a certain way, to de-escalate, when they fear for their life, they can shoot somebody in the back of their head running away from them. But when we fear for our lives as citizens, right, as so-called citizens, we're supposed to melt. We're supposed to, okay, oh my God, okay. Because I tell you what, if I'm not doing anything wrong, right, if I'm not doing anything and a cop pulls me over, or a cop comes up to me and starts being aggressive, and let's say I have a concealed carry license. Let's say I can carry, right, in a free state. Not even a free state, because I shouldn't need a permit. Shout out to all the states and counties that are doing constitutional carry. Shout out to y'all. You got a lot more work to do, but shout out to y'all. If I feared a cop that was running up on me for whatever reason, I'm like, what are you doing? Let's say I'm open carrying. Well, it's legal. I have every right to open carry, and that state is not trying to, pass laws to where I can't do that, right? Because there are states where you can open carry, right? But they'll still harass the shit out of you if you're open carrying. Why are you carrying that right now? And they're asking you that because they know that they can't really do anything about it, but they know that they can harass you and get away with it, right? They know they can fuck with you. I'm carrying because I feel like it. Because I feel like it. I'm a grown ass man. I have every right to carry, and you don't have a right to come up to me and ask me that question. Well, you can ask me, but that's all you can do, and I can tell you to mind your business and fuck off. But let's say a cop is coming up on me. They see me open carrying, and am I allowed to shoot the cop because I fear for my life? Does that defense work for me? Am I allowed to get away with that? Because a cop can do it, and they won't even get indicted. If I do it, I can say I fear for my life. This cop was running up on me. He was pulling out. I didn't understand. I just went on instinct. I feared for my life. I can get indicted. Y'all don't see a problem with that? Let me see what y'all talking about. Yes, bellicose, hyperbole, shoot to kill. James Miller says, I hope Kentucky doesn't pass the law where citizens can't talk back to the police. Man, I wish they would, man. See, this is the thing. This is funny. Kentucky is a state I believe one of the states that I believe are passed this Second Amendment sanctuary and constitutional carry, but they don't want you to talk back to cops. So they give you one freedom, a little bit, and they remove another freedom from you. You can't talk back to the police. I was like, what is wrong with you people? You can't talk back to the police. I think in Florida, they have a similar laws where, I mean, come on. Either you're free or you're not. I'm not giving up one freedom for the other. I'm going to have all my freedoms. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. Like, the police are already protected enough. I saw a video where a guy who was doing a First Amendment audit on a police officer was filming him, and the officer wasn't having a good day. And so the dude was like, called him did he call him an asshole or something? He called him out his name, called the cop out his name, and the cop grabbed him by the wrist and pulled him in a certain direction because he called him an asshole. Imagine if I did that to somebody, right? Imagine somebody calls me an asshole out on the street. Let's say I bump into him on accident and I say, oh, excuse me, and they didn't hear me. Oh, you fucking asshole. Imagine what if I went over and grabbed his wrist and said, you come with me, you called me an asshole. Imagine that. Does it make sense that cops can do that shit, but we can't? He should not be allowed. I don't care what anybody calls me, right? Right? I believe in freedom of speech, but I don't believe in freedom of consequence. If somebody, I've been called the N-word by people. I've been called by N-word by Asian lady. I've been called N-word by a bunch of white boys in the truck that threw a water bottle at me in Arizona. I've been called the N-word in the Army multiple times. You know what I'm saying? I got called the N-word. I was in basic training, and there was this lanky white dude from, I think he was from North Carolina or something like that, called me N-word while he was talking, like standing right here talking to me. I grabbed his hand and I squeezed and I broke his hand because I was, what was I? I was 20 years old. I was young. I was like, oh, you ain't about to talk to me like that. Because when those guys in Arizona threw that water bottle at me, I was 18 years old and there was nothing I could do about it. But that was the only time I heard somebody for calling me the N-word. After that, it was like, whatever. You know, it is what it is. It's just a word. But like I said, was I right for doing that? No. No, I wasn't right. But what he did was, you know, that he told the drill sergeant, I failed and hurt my hand. Good on him. He didn't snitch on me. Right? But moving on. So cops should not be able to do shit that you can't do just because they're cops. Period. Shad Kellen says, that's why I hate cops. I hate police culture and the people that uphold it. Hate is a strong word, but you get what I'm saying. Most police forces, policy enforcers use training program developed by the IDF. True facts. Shot killings, exactly. I need all my freedoms, exactly. I've seen cops that look like freaking thugs, for real. A lot of them are thugs. They come with the authority and the protection of the state. So they have this air of like invincibility. You know what I'm saying? And that is the problem. Remove that air of remove that air of invincibility and bring them down to your level. They think they're up here, but help them understand that they're right here with you. Cops are thugs, man. Oh, speaking of the IDF, right? Not only are some of them trained by the IDF, but I want you to understand what the type of people they hire, right? Former military, they like to hire infantry or combat armed veterans. They like to hire those type of people to be on the police force. And especially if you have some combat experience. They know the combat experience in hot zones where they know that you probably pull some triggers in your day. They prefer those because, you know, as a combat arms soldier, you have a basic understanding of, operating in combat, but you're not caught up by the red tape that an MP might be caught up in. MPs, they don't like to hire MPs, military police, because they police in a whole different way than cops, civilian cops. So they don't want to have to untrain them from that mind state. They don't want to have to retrain them to be efficient killers on the streets when they encounter somebody, right? I've mentioned some stories I've had, some encounters I had with the MPs when I was in the military, and they're a lot different, man. A lot of people hated MPs, but compared to civilian cops, they're like fucking Barney and what's that? Mayberry? What's that dude? Them motherfuckers in Mayberry? What's that? Andy Griffith. They're like Andy Griffith and fucking Mayberry, man. Compared to civilian cops, I'm telling you, like, I hated MPs when I was in there, but looking back, right, and see how they operate compared to how cops on the streets operate, night and day difference. And they understand that. They don't like hiring MPs because they have to train them to actually, go ahead and kill somebody. Yeah, go ahead. If you fear for your life, go ahead and kill them. Because that's not how MPs operate. MPs aren't combat arms. You feel me? IDF is Israeli Defense Federation. Oh man, couldn't do anything. Check out the Black Klansman on YouTube, Mind of Jamal. I'll check him out. Yeah, Andy and Barney, yeah. Man says because the U.S. backs Israel. Of course. So, of course, they got to reciprocate each other. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You run my cybersecurity and I'll give you $500 billion a year. So, shout out to the conservative twins, man. They really were objective. They tried their hardest to this. It's funny because they multiple times in the beginning of the video, they were talking about how, we respect cops and what they do, but and at some point in the video, they stopped doing that. This is the reality. And this is what I think they understood from that situation, that cops don't deserve the support they get from certain people. They don't. Because they haven't demonstrated that they need that support. Because they have the support from the state. They have the support from the government. They have the support from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court protects them. Right? So, at some point, you just have to say, man, the police culture is the problem, right? Police culture is the problem. How we treat the police, how the government treats the police, how the justice system treats the police is a problem. And it needs to change, right? It needs to change. And this idea that without them, everything would crumble is just complete and utter nonsense. It's complete and utter nonsense. What I want is for them to stop. We don't need public police anymore. Make them private. You take our tax money and you pay their salary. Well, how about you remove that tax money, right? And you get and you give it back to the people in the community, and we decide who polices us, right? And then they have to answer to us. I believe that in us, I think in a George Floyd police reform situation, they want some civilian oversight committees. That's not enough, right? Not an oversight committee. They need to be held accountable by the community, by the people. So that's what needs to happen. It's simple. It's a simple shift. You're no longer going to be protected by qualified immunity. You're no longer going to be able to just say, I fear for my life. None of that is going to happen. And I tell you what's going to happen. You're going to weed out all the bad cops. They're not going to want to deal with that because they're not going to want to change their behavior, right? They enjoy that power. It's an addiction. They enjoy that power. They enjoy being able to do whatever the fuck they want to do with impunity. So You remove that protection, a lot of shit will change. Bad cops will leave. Those indifferent cops will feel comfortable enough to become good cops. And you'll get more good cops, more good people to become cops. Because they're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people don't want to deal with the responsibility. Just like with steel workers, right? This is just an example. Steel workers. I've worked with a lot of iron workers, right? A lot of iron workers. They do, you know, when the frame goes up, when they start putting all those steel beams up, they're up there climbing the beams, hundreds of feet, you know what I'm saying? Working with a little line on their back, you know what I'm saying? Just risking their lives. Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to do that. If you eliminate it, I guess that's a bad example. That's a bad example. Let's electrical work, right? Not everybody wants to be responsible for, you know, especially as like a foreman. If I'm a foreman and I have guys in the field, which I am, I'm a guy, I'm a foreman. I got guys in the field. If they're working on live panels and something happens to them, I can be held responsible because I didn't ensure that they were safely operating on that panel, right? Lockout, tag out. I didn't make sure that they had lockout, tag out on that panel, on the breakers. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody wants to be responsible for that. But if the responsibility was removed and if somebody got injured while you're on your watch and you were never held responsible, then you're just not going to care. You're just not. You're not going to care. So if you remove the protection from the police from the police officers, don't think that good cops will want to leave too. They're going to be like, oh man, well, I just have to be professional, act like I'm supposed to act. Alien Believers was good. Bellicose Hyperbole says Zion-Cons, people who claim to be Jews, oh man, I don't know why I said that out loud, but are not. Netanyahu is one of them. Facts. Police serve the corporation. Exactly, the USSA. Was good, Gusto. Mouse got caught up with them. Caught up with who? Who Mouse get caught up with? But they don't need so much protection. They don't need so much protection. And that's the point. If no one's held responsible for their actions, you're going to have a lot of people they're not going to be encouraged to do the right thing. Oh, Elijah McClain was 23. Okay, doesn't matter. I mean, that's I didn't really know what age he was. He's 23, still a young man. He wasn't doing anything wrong. So that's the point, man. People have to be held responsible for their actions. Police officers need to be held twice accountable for their actions. If they're breaking the law, they need to suffer twice the consequences as the people that they're enforcing the laws to. Yeah, they did them dirty, man. They did them dirty. Shirked the responsibility. That can't happen anymore. That cannot happen. What happened with Ronald Greene cannot happen anymore. What happened to George Floyd shouldn't be happening anymore. This is happening enough. It's enough. Enough is a motherfucking enough. Enough is enough. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't get it. Like, when are we going to realize this? And you have so many people resisting it. Oh, well, we don't need police reform. We need citizen reform. That's stupid. That is the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life, man. It's not even ignorant. It's just you're choosing to be stupid. What do they call you when you choose to be stupid? Why is it? Why the false dilemma, right? Why is it either the police need to be reformed or the people need? Why can't there be reform going all over the place? Why does it have to be one or the other? I'm gonna get me a concealed bullet resistant vest. That's funny. Yeah, I know people who have a couple of those, and yeah, they're ready to go. It's good. Get you a loadout set up, by the way, guys. Get you a good little loadout going, just in case. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man, in the comment section. If you hadn't joined the live, go check out that video that the conservative twins on Ronald Greene, man. They stepped it up. They risked a lot of unsubscribes, but they stepped up. If I have a bulletproof vest, I had one, then I lost it, I lost it in a boating accident along with all my firearms and all my ammo and all the attachments and all that. It's all gone. It's saddened me. I'm very sad about it, man. I have to start all over. You know what I mean? So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? That's why you have insurance, right? Oh, by the way, you can get insurance on your firearms, right? Certain insurance companies will cover your firearms for damage and loss and all that other shit. I go through USAA, excellent insurance company. I had my weapons all covered by USAA, and unfortunately, I had to get a payout for all the things that I lost in a boating accident. Bellicose, yeah, but Hodge twins, yes. Go check them out, man. Check out that video that they did on Ronald Greene. They said some real shit. They spoke some real shit on the DL. Anyway, I'm out of here. Got to get my guys going. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll holler at y'all later.